I think it's absolutely abysmal the way they treated you at the end and the way they just shrugged you off as if you're a piece of dirt on the bottom of their shoe. I think it's disgusting. I think the entire industry is disgusting. And I think it's a shame that not enough of your colleagues and friends stood up for you.
Most of the people in it are not very nice. Let's put it that way.
75% of the audience has gone.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And I think that's probably going to be the case for the morning show as well. GB News is now, you know, again, they've got some good people working there, but, you know, it's a pretty boring station, to be honest. An awful lot of what they do is just not very good.
Now, today is super exciting for me because Father Calvin Robinson and Mike Graham are reunited on screen for the first time now that Mike is fully independent, because this has been a while, right? Hasn't it, Mike? Given that, I guess there was the whole GB News versus Talk TV thing, and then Talk TV. I think you went on a couple of times, didn't you, Father Calvin? But you know, you weren't necessarily a palatable regular guest for them. So it's very nice to have you back together. And Mike, you've certainly been unleashed, and a lot of people are noticing how you have been unleashed since moving fully independent. And of course, predictably, and I think this is a great thing, there's already a left-wing campaign to shut you down after your appearance in Essex at the Pink Ladies event. So I want to get your verdict on this, but let's just remind everyone about what you said first. Okay, half of you watching this are not subscribed to Dan Wootton Outspoken, and the best way you can support what we do is by hitting that subscribe button. It is completely free, and turn on the notification bell to be alerted to our new episodes.
Only yesterday, there's another one. Some Afghan bastard has come into this country and sexually assaulted and raped a 12-year-old girl. I mean, what is going on? You know, we don't want these people here, right? I don't care about these, you know, BBC types who go, well, surely you're not saying they're all rapists. Actually, I am saying they're all fucking rapists, you know? Because it's the only language they understand, right? We don't want them here. We don't need them here. And they shouldn't be here. And we certainly don't want them anywhere near this town in Wethersfield, 600 of them being busted over.
Q Lifty outrage for Karate Mike T posted Mike Graham, the disgraced former Talk TV presenter, I don't know who he's disgraced by, has just told a Pink Ladies anti-refugee protest in Chelmsford that all asylum seekers are fucking rapists. And then your party councillor Alan Gibbons came in and said, this is hate speech, pure and simple. Harry Eccles added, this is gross racism and hate speech. So Mike, they're coming for you again. Are you worried?
Yeah. No, because, you know, they've always been coming for me, and they've been coming for me for years, you know, and the problem is they're not upset about the fact that a 12-year-old girl's been raped.
No.
They're not upset about the fact that, you know, this is going on day in, day out. They're not upset by the people, the local people and the families and the children who don't want to go out at night because they're frightened of what might happen. They're not concerned about any of that. They're just concerned about people that say things that they might not like to hear, because I'm afraid they're going to be hearing a lot of it.
Father Calvin Robinson, I mean, firstly, this is obviously the first time that you've been on with Mike, but what was interesting is that you actually thought, and obviously Mike is very, very clear that he didn't send the post and he was hacked, but you didn't even think the post that ended up leading to his axing from Talk TV was racist anyway.
No, and it is great to be back on with Mike. Mike was the first presenter to get me on talk radio back in the day. And you know me, I'm a loyal person, so I respect and admire him for that. But you know what? Whether it was hacked or not, whether it was Mike's post or not, it doesn't matter. The post was inoffensive. The post was accurate, right? There's a problem in our country, and anyone who raises the awareness of the problem is accused of racism or xenophobia or Islamophobia or all these kind of things, hate speech. That's not a problem. If Mike's speech just then, the clip that we saw, if it was hate speech, yeah, it was hate speech against rapists. We should all be hating rapists, right? And I've said it's time and time again. If 5% of the demographics of our country is responsible for 65% of the child grooming and child sexual exploitation, we should get that 5% out. Look, even if someone says, well, not all of them, it doesn't matter. Too many of them are. They need to go. It's not safe for our girls. That's the priority. Young, British, working class, white girls are being groomed and raped systematically by people from another land. So why are we saying, oh, it's racist to point it out? It doesn't matter if it's racist to point it out. It's rape, and it needs to stop. And so I'm absolutely 100% with Mike on that, and I'm 100% with Mike on his previous post. When I go to London now and I look around, I don't see very many English people. I don't see very many Londoners. And you can argue for a multi-ethnic, multi-faith, multicultural society if you want, but at least some degree of them should be from the place that you're in, right? If I go to London, the capital city of England, I should see English people there. If I don't see any, and if I don't hear anyone speaking English, there's a problem there, and it needs to be addressed. But raising the problem itself is the bigger issue for these people on the left, because diversity is their god.
And I mean, Mike, it's worth pointing out, Father Calvin, he's not a white man. and I know you've had other non-white people who have been saying to you, this is nuts.
I've said before, this is not a colour thing, it's not a race thing. It's more of a nationality thing, to be honest, because there are certain countries who are more likely, and these are government figures again, who are more likely to have men coming from them who are likely to commit sexual crimes, against women. And these are simply the facts. And I mean, I'm afraid the lefties don't like facts. They don't like to have to admit to things like that. And they start asking questions about whether the study was biased or, the studies are not biased. The studies are there for everybody to see. The government figures, even this useless, hopeless, crappy Labour government wants to get rid of these people, So how is it racist to talk about it and to say we should get rid of them? I mean, it's government policy now.
Yeah, totally. And Mike, do you feel a sense now, though, that when you were at that Pink Ladies event, you were able to be more, to use my favorite word, more outspoken than what you would have been able to be?
To be honest, whenever I'm at a live event, I kind of just go with what I'm feeling. And, I don't generally prepare my speech. I don't generally think an awful lot about what I'm going to say. It was a beautiful crowd. It was a horribly cold day. So many people turned out in the freezing cold, and they were there because they believe in something and they have a proper community that they want to protect. And so, I felt that vibe and I responded to it, And so, I mean, I may have been slightly more, shall we say, expressive than I might have otherwise been. But I think I said this to you when we had the interview. Probably if I'd still been at Talk and I'd said I was thinking of going to that, they might have advised me not to go.
Yeah,
Can I just say as well, before I got into this industry, over 10 years ago, there were a few of you that I used to listen to, two people I used to listen to every day, Julia Hartley-Brewer and the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. And you've put so much work, so much blood, sweat and tears into that place. I think it's absolutely abysmal the way they treated you at the end and the way they just shrugged you off as if you're a piece of dirt on the bottom of their shoe. I think it's disgusting. I think the entire industry is disgusting. And I think it's a shame that not enough of your colleagues and friends stood up for you.
Yeah. Well, as I said to Dan, I don't really blame them for that. And funnily enough, I ran into Julia Hartley-Brewer at a lunch on Friday last week, and we were fine. It's a tough business. It's a hard business. And, I've got friends there, and I will always have friends there. I've got friends in all sorts of parts of the media, but most of the people in it are not very nice. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it, Father Calvin? Because we actually always had this debate, Calvin and myself, because I was more, when what happened to us at GB News happened, I was a bit more like you, Mike. So I sort of understood, didn't I, Calvin, why people maybe wouldn't be able to speak publicly. But for you, Father, it was a real bottom line, a sort of morality test.
Yeah, because what's important in life? People, right? God and people. And you are my friends. So if something happens to you, I'm going to stand up for you. If that means I lose my job, what does that matter? What's a job at the end of the day? My relationship with you is more important. And I don't understand people that don't see it like that. People that think, oh, if I say anything, I might lose this promotion. I might not get this spot on air. I want to get that slot or whatever. It's disgusting. It's shameful. It's an empty view of the world. It's like we are better than that as people. We have to be better than that as people. We've got to stand by each other. Otherwise, we're all on our own. Well, exactly. And as plenty of people have seen since what happened to you guys at GB News, they've come for other people as well, haven't they? Of course.
Well, yes, but I just have to show you something, Mike, because I think it does sort of prove why they've made such a mistake. So let's just look at the numbers for Plank of the Week. So if you see here, a month ago, that was your last episode, okay? 282,000 views. You're then suspended, goes down to 127,000, 105,000, 146,000, 94,000. The most recent episode, Mike, 74,000 views. Now, actually, if we go back a bit further for you, you were regularly getting over 300,000 views of Plank of the Week. So 75% of the audience has gone.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And I think that's probably going to be the case for the morning show as well. I haven't seen any up-to-date numbers, but I know an awful lot of people aren't watching it.
Yeah,
well, it's a good thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, the independent Republic of Mike Graham is now independent, truly, and you can say what you like, you can go where you want, do what you want, and actually that's freeing. And I think the audience is going to respect that.
Yeah,
I think so.
Mike, I've got to ask you about something that happened with GB News in regards to the Pink Ladies protest. But actually, just before we do, a bit of fun, Calvin. They're still having a few issues. This was Andrew Pearce presenting their morning show yesterday. Watch. But first, a reality check. Data leaks aren't a once-in-a-while story anymore. They're constant and they're massive. When a mega breach hits, millions of people's details spill at once. Phone numbers, home addresses, even sensitive stuff. Worse, that data doesn't fade away. Data brokers and people search sites buy and resell it endlessly. So scammers, stalkers, even curious employers of your future can pull up your life within a quick search. That's why I use Incogni. In a murky industry, Incogni is the proof-driven service independently verified by Deloitte to request removals from hundreds of broker sites and private databases, follow up repeatedly, and log the confirmations as they come in. Here's how simple it is. Create your account and share only what's needed to find your exposed profiles. Authorize Incogni once, just once, to act on your behalf. They start the takedowns and keep chasing so your data doesn't creep back online ever. And the power feature custom removals on the unlimited plan. If you spot your info anywhere, so court portals, company directories, people search pages, drop that exact link into your dashboard. Incogni's privacy team then takes it on beyond the automated list. Unlimited links handled by specialists. It's low effort, it's effective, and it gives you real peace of mind. They can't target you if they can't find you. So don't wait for the next breach. Head to incogni.com/outspoken right now and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/outspoken. Protect yourself, your family, and your future. But now, back to the show.
Oh, you bastard.
That'd be very bad. It is 11 o'clock on Tuesday, the 25th of November. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Oh, no.
Now,
That's
an
embarrassing.
unfortunate word by me. That's because I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we won't replay it. So grovelling apologies from me.
That's
No.
Oh, Father Calvin, some things don't change.
Some things never change.
Always,
If people only knew.
always assume the mic is on, right?
Yes. But Mike, I did want to ask you about GB News. We covered this on the show yesterday. So Alex Armstrong, who is a good guy, went down and interviewed you at the Pink Ladies event. And look, you were the biggest name there. It was the big deal. It was the news of the day. And it was a very good interview, which I was able to obtain the footage of. Now, when GB News broadcast their full package that night, they interviewed all of the other smaller players like James McMurdoch and Adam Brooks. No sign of your interview whatsoever. I spoke to one of my sources at GB News who said they do think that GB News had cancelled you and it was an editorial decision not to include you. I just wondered what you thought about that decision.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I watched your show last night, Dan, as I now do every night, because it's now the only show that I watch. You know, why would I watch anything else? And I didn't even know that, you know, so I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I just assumed, you know, I'm not as much as a lot of people think I've got a massive ego, yes, I have, but I don't expect, to be the star of the show or anything like that. But I don't watch GB News, so I didn't really watch the show to see whether I was on it. But I was quite surprised when you said that they decided not to run any of it at all, because apart from anything else, it was fairly innocuous. I didn't swear. It was relatively, sort of tame, really. And Alex was very nice, and he was very happy because I hadn't seen Alex for years either. So yeah, I mean, if they've cancelled me, well, it just goes to show you that when you asked me the question, would you go to GB News, and I said no, and you said why, and I said, well, it would be just the same, wouldn't it? They'd just say the same things, and they wouldn't want me to be too controversial, and they wouldn't want me to, go out on particular positions on things, because GB News is now, again, they've got some good people working there, but it's a pretty boring station, to be honest. An awful lot of what they do is just not very good,
It's
and
rolling
I
establishment
don't know why you
news.
bother watching it.
No, I actually agree. It's a sad thing to say, because obviously the opposite we wanted it to be, right? When we launched it,
Yeah.
Father Calvin was boring, but I think a lot of it is now. And I was at last night, actually, a brilliant dinner for Restore Britain, which is...
Wasn't it Joe Allen, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't at Joe Allen's. It was at Rupert Lowe's club. And, I love Rupert Lowe. He's obviously launched Restore Britain. But it was a really interesting event. Chatham House rules. But what was great is there was a cross-section of people. Obviously, Restore Britain's like a non-party political organisation. So David Starkey was there. He's actually on the show tomorrow night. Susan Hall from the Conservatives was there. Gavin Williamson was there. But so too were people from the independent media like Connor Tomlinson and Carl Benjamin, who I have to say just went for Gavin Williamson. It was sort of wonderful to watch, but they were both giving as good as they got. But Rupert Lowe said to me, he remains completely banned by GB News, which to me is extraordinary. I mean, they have him on talk, Mike, but completely banned by GB News. It's crazy.
I know, it's insane, isn't it? And you think, well, I'm going to say the words independent media, which of course now means something completely different to me than they used to, because they're clearly not independent media, which is a pity, because we need people to tell the truth, and you need to listen to people, and we need to interact with each other at various points. Sometimes maybe not always in a pleasant way. But, we don't all, I've said this to you before, we don't all have to be friends. We don't all have to believe the same things. We don't all have to, gather around and worship the same, idol in the middle of the table. We can all come from different places, but we can all talk. That's what we do.
Yes. Well,
That's
on that
important
note...
as well.
Oh, sorry,
Just
Father Calvin.
The three of us here don't all agree on many, many things, but we're able to have these conversations. That's one thing I was never able to do at GB News. I wasn't able to get Tommy Robinson on or Katie Hopkins. I wasn't able to have a conversation with people I may disagree with on some stuff, but actually we could find some common ground, and the British people deserve to have the questions and answers had. Rather
than just cancelling people. Well, actually, I did want to ask you about that, both of you, because Mike, and good on you for doing it, you did an interview with Tommy Robinson's media outlet at the Pink Ladies event. This was with Brother Wendell for Urban Scoop. Yes. And I mean, he was pretty tough, well, he asked, look, let's just watch, and I'll get your reaction off the bat.
So, Mike, good afternoon. My name is Wendell Daniel.
Hi, Wendell.
I'm currently live streaming. I need to ask you a question in regards to Tommy Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, you have been condemning Tommy Robinson as a racist for many, many years. You have been accused of racism, and I believe you may have been sacked or kicked out of Talk TV.
Yeah.
What do you have to say now that you have also been called the same as Tommy?
Well, I've had a lot to say. I've already done a big interview.
With Dan Wootton, but you're interviewing with me.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't really got much to say about Tommy. Tommy and I don't get on. It's
but you've been calling him a racist, and you are now being labelled as a racist, so what do you have to say?
Well, shit happens, is what I can say. Shit happens, mate. That's it. Good one, mate. Give him my regards.
I will do.
I'll see him soon.
But I'm currently live streaming on Tommy Robinson's YouTube and Tommy's Twitter.
Okay.
Will you be inviting him as one of your guests onto your show?
You never know. Wait and see.
So possibly.
Wait and see.
I have to say, I thought that was a blockbuster exchange. Love Brother Wendell, but I also loved shit happens. But Tommy did respond. So he posted, "Shit happens. Brother Wendell interviewed Mike Graham earlier at the Pink Ladies protest in Chelmsford. He politely confronted Mike, saying he lost his job on Talk TV after being accused of racism. Ironic, something Mike has accused me of for years while working with an establishment media feathering his own nest. It would be interesting to see if Mike has the balls to actually interview me now. He's free from the shackles of establishment media. I would do it just out of interest. The irony of this isn't lost on me, Dan Wootton." So he's offered to come on your new show, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing this for years, Dan. You know, I don't know why he's so desperate for me to interview him, but he does seem to be very, very much obsessed with it. He denies he's obsessed with me, but he then went and found some tweet from about 5 years ago to prove his point. You know, this is going to go on for a while, I'm sure. You know, because I just, you know, part of me thinks I shouldn't do it because he's so horrible and he's been horrible about me and to me, regardless of everything that has happened over the years. He's never cut me any slack. As I said to you, the original kind of falling out that we had was all about some, you know, pretty nasty stuff that he was threatening to do. It wasn't just about demonstrating outside the office, you know what I mean? So we'll see. Listen, I'm not completely closed-minded about it, but it's not going to happen straight away, that's for sure.
Father Calvin, what's your view on all of this as a supporter of Mike and Tommy?
Right, so obviously I've always stood up for Tommy every time he's been cancelled, and when Mike got cancelled, I stood up for Mike too. But Tommy jumped in on the thread, pretty much saying, you know, you shouldn't support Mike because he hasn't liked me. And I support all of you guys. I disagree with Tommy on some stuff, I disagree with Mike on some stuff, but to see you both come together for a conversation, even if you walk away at the end of it still not liking each other, the viewer would win. We would win, finding out where you disagree, where you actually agree, and find the common ground. And actually, it shows growth too for both you and for Tommy, because you know he's been at this. He was quite young when he started, and you know we all changed.
And maybe he's a different guy now. I don't know, but he could certainly do some growth.
The MikeGrahamShow.com is the address, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
you can
it.
sign up on Substack right now, and there is much more coming soon. And I am very excited about it. Cannot wait to appear on the Mike Graham Show. Be hopefully making my first appearance on Plank of the Week.
We'd be delighted.
Amazing.
And thank you for having me on your show again.
No, absolutely delighted. Well, I think it's really important on these big news days, actually, like that I'll come on yours in the morning, you come on mine, you know, that's what people want to see. Yeah. And of course, Father Calvin Robinson is the host, and it's back on air, of Reclaim the Media's Fox and Father, or co-host, of course, alongside Lawrence Fox. So thank you both.
And I hope, sorry to interrupt, but I hope, Calvin, you'll be able to come on my new show as well.
I had a big afro, I had no grays, and I was a school teacher the first time I came on your show. I'd love to come back on, Mike.
By the way, I'm being scolded, Father Calvin, because I know you hate my swearing, and 14
You're swearing
Barber.
a lot more now, Dan.
I know, it's so bad, and my dad hates it too. And 14 Barber has just said, Dan, please, no more swearing in front of Father Calvin Robinson. So I will try.
I think Alan was disappointed last time as well.
I know. I'm sorry. I just get so mad sometimes. I get so mad about what's going on, but I will try not to swear in front of the Father. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.